beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about the latest collection from NARS Cosmetics. This is their semi-annual Orgasm collection release. This one's called Orgasm Rising. It's not a huge collection by any means. We have two of their multiple sticks. These are a cream formula that can be used on the cheeks, the lips, or the eyes. So that's why they call it the multiple. Two different shades in that product. There's also a cheek quad little face palette. And then we have a 9-pan eyeshadow palette. These products are currently available. You can find them on the NARS website. You can find them at Sephora, probably a couple other retailers that carry NARS as well. However, NARS sent these pieces to me in PR for me to review them for you. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm going to show you close-ups, I'm going to show you swatches, and I'm also going to do an application demo. I'm wearing all of these things on my face right now. But before we get to the tutorial demo portion, I just want to show you some close-ups and swatches and give you some information about these individual products. Let's start with the multiple sticks first. These are retail priced at $39 US a piece.
The outer packaging is identical on both shades, but they do have the shade names printed on top. So just make sure you double check that if you're grabbing these in store. Kind of the same thing goes for the cheek and eye palettes. They look exactly the same too. So just make sure you give it a good second glance if you are going to grab one of these in person. Same with the outer packaging on the product itself. It's just the sticker on the bottom that really will tell you which one is which. These are a jumbo stick and then they twist up. You can see they look pretty different just in the tube, but they look really, really different once you see them swatched. The typical Orgasm, like pinky with gold reflect type of shade. And then Orgasm Rush is this really rich, beautiful, rusty brick red type of shade. I love colors like this. I think they're so flattering on so many different skin tones, and this one is definitely my favorite of the two.
Now let's talk about the cheek palette. They call this the Foreplay Blush Quad. Get it? Like F-O-U-R, because there's four of them. It's quad, foreplay. Get it? I think that's cute. A lot of their names are blatantly explicit, but they don't really do a lot of good puns, and I love a good makeup pun, so I thought that one was pretty funny. This is the Blush Quad and it's priced at $45 US.
Here's the outer box for the cheek palette. These are a little bit easier to tell because they have the name on top, but they also have a depiction of the product on the back, and then you can see a bunch of information as far as ingredients, shade names, things like that. So if you are somebody that has any sort of sensitivity to certain ingredients, make sure you double check these before you pick them up. The actual palette is so cute. I really like this pink on pink packaging. I just really like this very girly springtime type of look on the packaging. It's really different from the typical sleek and chic all black NARS packaging. These palettes do have a mirror inside, and then I'm going to give you a close-up look at these baked type of powders. They're really, really shimmery, and I just love the little NARS logo imprinted. I think this is so cool. It's just a little detail, but these are the types of things you start to pay attention to when you stare at hundreds and thousands of pieces of makeup all the time. So here's a close-up look at the powders, and then of course I'm going to show you a finger swatch so that you can see all four of these shades individually. Later you'll get to see me apply 3 out of the 4. And because these are all a very similar finish, it's super easy to layer these or even pick up multiple powders on the brush at one time if you want to sort of mix and match and create your own shades. That's something you'll get to see in the tutorial portion as well.
And lastly, we have the Orgasm Rising eyeshadow palette. This is a 9-pan palette and it's priced at $49 US.
Like I said, very, very similar packaging to the cheek palette. but the outer box is labeled on top, and of course there's that picture on the back. So the outer box is pretty easy to discern, but the front of the palette is the exact same cover and they're the same size. So you really have to look at the back to see the little shade name sticker. If you happen to have both of these palettes like stashed in the same drawer or something, this palette also has a mirror inside and then all 9 shades. There are no shade names inside. That's typical for a NARS palette. And we do have a mix of a lot of different finishes in here. There's only 2 true mattes, but we do have that Galapagos shade. That's a classic NARS shade. That's the deep brown with lots of gold sparkle. And then you'll be able to tell a little bit better in the swatches, but a lot of these shimmery shades also have different textures. Some are very sheer and sparkly, sort of topper type of shades, and then others are a lot more opaque and very rich metallic type of shades. And then there are a couple that are sort of in between, more subtle satiny type of shimmers. There's a lot of texture going on for just a little 9-pan palette. And I do want to mention that you are seeing finger swatches on top and then brush swatches directly below. I don't use any primer for any of my swatches, and I always just use a flat eyeshadow brush, not dampened or anything like that. Now let's get into a little demo. That way you can see all of these different products in action. First, I'm using the multiple. This is the Orgasm Rush shade. I'm going to put that on one side, and then I'm going to use the Baked blush in the same shade on the other side. That way you can see the difference. So now going into the blush quad and pulling the Orgasm Rush shade, just applying that really quickly with my little blush brush. And I noticed that one swipe of the powder blush was a lot more intense. So I had to go back and add more of the multiple to make them look similar. That way you could just get a feel for what each of those looked like going on. And then I mixed 2 shades and started just applying that all around the edges of my face. Wanted to add a little warmth and dimension on the forehead, and I added the Swinger highlighter shade on tops of my cheekbones. Oh my gosh, so pretty. I was really, really impressed by the glow. It wasn't glittery. After swatching, I was a little nervous that it would be a little too glittery shimmery, but it's just super glowy. I like a really intense glowy cheek. It just makes me feel like I look really hydrated and bright and juicy. I know not everybody loves that look, but I absolutely love the cheeks. I kept getting so distracted by them while I was doing my eyeshadow. After priming, I went in with this matte shade called 7 Heaven. I recognize this from other NARS palettes in the past, and this is a really lovely transition type of shade for my personal skin tone. I think it works really well in this palette, and I know that it was in one of my all-time favorite NARS palettes, the Wanted eyeshadow palette. I went so crazy for that palette several years ago when it came out. I definitely had a lot more neutral leaning tastes back then, but I still think that the performance of NARS eyeshadows are fantastic. I just personally tend towards a little bit more vibrancy in my palettes these days, but there's no denying that this 7 Heaven shade still works really, really well for me as a transition shade. And all of these shadows blend so beautifully, so effortlessly. I really didn't have to work hard to figure out my placement or mixing shades or getting things to blend nicely. I feel like the formulas did a lot of that work for me, and you know what? I appreciate that. I did find myself wishing for another deeper shade. Galapagos just didn't really give me that smokiness near the lash line that I tend to prefer. But overall, I feel like this came together really nicely. It looks really good. Now, I don't think I could do endless eyeshadow looks with this palette. I do think that I'm pretty locked into this shimmery orangey reddish neutrals type of look. But you know what? It's a good look. It's a classic look. I think that the eyeshadow looks really flattering. It looks nice on me. It wore well throughout the rest of the day after I finished filming this look. So overall, I cannot give them any knocks on the performance or the formula. I just wish that I had some more colors to play with. Overall, I think the look is fresh and summery, shimmery, and warm, and I like all of those things. Those all work well for my personal style, so I think it ended up looking pretty nice.
Overall, I like this collection. I love the way my makeup turned out. I would say I like this collection. I don't love the individual pieces all that much. By far, my favorite thing is the blush quad. I love a shimmery cheek color. I love layering and mixing these. I think these are really, really beautiful. They could be worn very softly and very sheer if you don't want a very dramatic blush look, but you can definitely mix these, layer them up, even layer them with a cream product if you want to. If you want a little bit more oomph, if you want a little bit more punch. But I really like this. I think this is the best of the products that I've tried from this collection. I would say second place is the eyeshadow palette because I think the formulas are really, really beautiful. It's just this color story doesn't really do that much for me. Now, I do see this having a lot of value in the market overall. I think there are a lot of people, maybe not necessarily the avid beauty YouTube watchers, but just people who wear makeup, people who buy makeup in general, who will have maybe one or two palettes like this, and they will invest their $50 into this palette and they will wear it until the wheels fall off, until they pan all of these colors and they'll like all of these colors and it will perform well. I think there is a place for this palette in the makeup world, in the beauty sphere. Just because I have these colors a million times over or I don't feel particularly inspired by this color story doesn't mean that it's not good. This just isn't the right fit for me personally. But if this is what you're looking for, if you are somebody who wants to invest into a little neutral palette that you're going to wear a lot, this is a good choice. I think that the formulas in here perform really beautifully. The mattes are soft and smooth and buttery. All of the different textures of the shimmers just show up beautifully on the eye. They apply beautifully. All of these colors and textures work really well together. Formula-wise, this is a 10 out of 10. It's just not the right fit for me because I'm just not gravitating towards a little warm neutral 9-pan palette. But I do think this is a really good palette, so that's why it's in the middle for me. Surprisingly, my least favorite thing from this collection are the multiple sticks. I love a cream blush. I love a cream cheek product. And there have been some of these NARS multiples that I have really, really enjoyed. These just seem a little bit lackluster for me. It's not quite as smooth and creamy and beautiful, luxurious experience that I've had in the past from other NARS products like this. So a little bit of a letdown. Definitely, in my opinion, not worth $39. Just wild. Maybe it's right for somebody, maybe it's working for somebody, but it just doesn't really do it for me. So I would say this cheek quad is definitely the thing I'm most excited to come back and wear again tomorrow. So this is my favorite. Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about this collection. Are you picking anything up? Do any of these things catch your eye? I always love to hear what you think about things too. So make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Sure, it'll be fine. 39 US a piece. Dang, that's expensive. Huh? I don't know. I don't know what that was. Now let's talk about Did that make sense? Doing great. This packaging's cute. I like it. I forget what I was gonna say. Doing great. What's the word I'm looking for? I keep getting distracted by this highlighter. It's really good. I mean, it looks good. The eye makeup looks good. It performs well, okay? It's just not what I'm looking for in an eyeshadow palette. I think that's fair. That's valid criticism. They wouldn't keep making it if it wasn't selling. Like, I'm not saying that these companies are, you know, genius and infallible. I don't think that at all. But I bet you they make this all the time because people keep buying it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they have certainly not fixed it. For the eyeshadow palette, it might go on sale. Look, if you find the eyeshadow palette on sale, then definitely buy it because the formula is really, really good. I really like NARS eyeshadows. I think they kind of are low-key underrated for their eyeshadow because they always get attention for like their complexion products, lip products, cheeks. I think all around NARS just does very good formulas overall, but I really like their eyeshadow palettes. I typically give their eyeshadow palettes good reviews. So if you find it on sale, definitely get it. Alright, that's it. I'm gonna go. Got some stuff to do, places to go, people to see. Not really. I'm gonna stay in my house. It's just an expression. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again real soon. I hope you have a nice day, and if you don't have a nice day, that's okay. It sometimes happens. It's not you, it's just some days are like that. Just keep doing your best. You got this. And I love your face. I'll talk to you real soon, okay? Bye!